Hey everyone, welcome to Matt's Garage. Obviously I'm not in the garage, so if you're looking for garage action, today's not the day. But I do have a video coming out this week and a few next week that will have garage action, assuming you're watching this within a day of publishing it. I want to talk about budgets today. I really don't like talking about money because it's just not polite, but it's on all of our minds. So please recognize that I recognize I'm fortunate and I can afford this project. I know some of you guys are scrounging up just to buy that set of headers or to be able to get that retro stereo or a twin stick shifter or something, and I'm able to purchase my parts in bulk, okay? There's other guys out there who money's not an object. They made 40 grand today, so they can buy whatever they want. And everything in between. But it does need to be talked about because it's something you need to consider as you're planning your restoration. What I do to keep everything straight is I have a Google Doc that I manage all my parts in, and I'll try to see if I can get this to show up on camera. So I'm going to move the camera over. I've got these color-coded with the line number, the vendor, category, description, part number, quantity, price, total, unit of measure, everything. And then little notes, did I order it or not? And I've got up here my totals. So far I've ordered $7,663 worth of parts, 7,600, and that's actually light. It's actually closer to 8,000, probably closer to 9,000 worth of parts plus the Explorer. So let's just say I'm 10 grand in so far, and I've got 6,800 left to go in parts. My first order was the axles and brakes, steering and suspension parts. So the big dollar items there were the four-wheel disc brake kit. Here I have the two-wheel, and I ended up going with the four-wheel. I have to adjust this. I think the four-wheel was like, what is it, $17.95 or something? I don't know. I'll check it. But so what is that? Yeah, 8,300. That was a big ticket item, as well as the the brake lines, the adjustable drag link, and then a lot of little stuff, but it adds up quickly. And then my second big order was all my body parts, and that's floor pans, my pillars, my tail light housings, all that stuff. And the biggest one in this order was the transmission adapter. Oh, and what's not on this list, actually, I forgot because I ordered it after, is the twin stick shifter. Although I didn't order this crossmember kit, I made my own, which I wouldn't recommend doing. It's not worth the work. It's $175. And I just saw Tom's has a redesigned one, which looks, it doesn't look like they take the old one, and it looks more custom. So check that out. Rear leaf springs, $200. That was a special order. And then the overhaul kit for the transfer case, a couple $100. And what I have left is like all the interior stuff, the door felts, the wiper tanks, here's some, not everything's Tom's, like I got Bronco Hut here for my exhaust system because I want short tube, and they have a complete system. I think Tom's developing one, but it's not out yet. Maybe by the time I get to ordering it. The chrome clip, the tailgate drains, blah, 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 blah. So that is just my parts. Now you're crooked. Now that doesn't at all consider the motor, right? Which is probably going to be like 5 grand, right? I'm rebuilding it myself, and I think it's going to be 5 grand because I think the machining is going to be anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500. I'm going to spend some amount on heads, say 1,500 on heads and gaskets and stuff, and then I'm counting the intake manifold and the EFI also is another $1,500. That's like $4,500 plus all this stuff you never thought about. So let's just say 5 grand for the engine, and then the transmission rebuild. With the transmissions, it's never just a rebuild price, right? You get in there, you're gonna screw something up, or you're gonna see a hard part that's worn out. This is if you do it yourself. I mean, if you buy it on Monster, you're still spending like 2 grand or 3 grand or whatever. But so I got 15 grand here, another 5 grand in the motor, say another grand for the transmission for all the hard parts and rebuild kits and fluids and all that. Another grand on paint, on filler and the sanding blocks and the DA sander and the discs and all those consumables. So real quickly, I'm in the 25 grand range. Wheels and tires, 26 grand. Say, oh, the Explorer was a grand, so 27 grand. So real quickly, I've edged up to 30 grand. Sorry, computer. 30 grand, just in stuff, not counting labor, you know. So it's important that you know what you're getting into, guys. Now, I'm not saying you can't do it for less. If you have a bunch of parts laying around, if you have a good engine that cuts a lot out, if you're going to rattle can it, if you're not worried about interior finishes or nice seats. Oh yeah, I got about $1,000 in seats in here, you know, included in that price. If you're not going to replace your windshield or your seals, or you're just kind of doing like a knot and frame off restoration, you might be able to get away with, I don't know, I don't even want to guess, like 10 grand. But if you have any rust, that body's coming off, right? I mean, unless you're just a patching wizard or you have very little rust, you're going to be taking the Fords apart. You know, that section inside under the hood. Yeah, I mean, you can put some shellac on it and get by, but I'm talking about restorations here. I'm not talking about patch and sell jobs, right? So that's it's a bit daunting. You know, I have to say this though, we are really lucky in the Bronco community, because I'm the member of a few communities, right? I got the Jeep TJ, I've got the International Scout, and I've got the Bronco. Now with the Bronco and the Jeep, everything's cheap, right? I mean, the Jeep is everything on the Jeep is super cheap. I'm talking relative terms here, as opposed to restoring a Duesenberg or something, right? Jeep's the cheapest, cheap heap. The Bronco is amazingly well supported in the aftermarket with our vendors. You know, I'm a Tom's guy because I'm on the West Coast. They service the whole country, but that's just, I literally order something, it's there 2 days later. So those are my boys, right? Plus they kept my Scout from burning down to the ground and didn't even make fun of me for that. Okay, so you got, but legit, whoever the vendors are, they've got great pricing. And then if you compare it to like a Scout, just go look for a door skin on a Scout. Go look for a fender on a Scout. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Broncos are relatively cheap. So if you're not a Bronco guy, you're just thinking about a restoration, you have got to understand the parts availability of your particular model. Let's say you find this sweet Oldsmobile, but the interior's been gutted, no gauges. You're going to spend thousands putting that stuff back together. Thousands of dollars putting just the gauges and the dash, sourcing them, unless you get really lucky. So it's not all bad news. I mean, restorations have never been cheaper in terms of parts availability as they are right now. But labor's crazy, right? So you almost are better off doing it yourself twice, like screwing it up and doing it again, rather than paying someone else to do it. You pay for your tools, you learn something. It just takes a lot longer, you know. So that's my talk on budgets. I hope this was useful. If you guys want any details, or you want me to shoot you over this price list, email me at mattsgarageshow@gmail.com. I'll send you the list. Not everything's on there, obviously, not the paint or anything. And but I'm happy to share, and it really, hopefully, will help you guys see this is no joke. You know, you got to be making some coin to do this. You know, I'm not saying I'm rolling in it, but dude, you got to have something left over every month. Serio. Super Serio.